Well, it's corporate radar time now. The Indian hotel stock is up 61% year on year and 40% year to date. But if you only looked at the past month, the stock has lost about 10% from its recent highs of about 660 rupees. There are some concerns about how first quarter may have panned out for the company, since a year ago in the same quarter, the company benefited from the G20 meetings. In fact, they benefited all through 2023. Now, this summer was hit by one of the worst summers as well as election season. But all that is behind us. To get an idea of the year ahead as well, I have with me Puneet Chhatwal, Managing Director and CEO, Indian Hotels. Good morning, Mr. Chhatwal. Always a pleasure having you with us. Well, let me start with this minor sell-off we have seen in the stock. And when I inquired, some worries that last year was such a spectacular performance that it may be tough to repeat, given that you don't have G20. Is that a fair worry?
All worries are fair. All risks that are, kind of tabled are there. But the job of the management is to navigate through all kinds of headwinds. As in the past several years, I remain cautiously optimistic about the guidance that we have given. And the guidance that we have given is a 10% growth in the top line over last year, with or without G20. And we think we are on track. And as you rightly said, a very difficult heat wave that the sector went through, and a very challenging period because of code of conduct. A lot of business, especially in the metros, comes through the government sources. So I think all in all, that is behind us, and we are very happy and looking at the pace of development. The business on the books for the month of July and August gives us the optimism not to change our guidance, but to give even a more solid guidance in terms of double-digit growth on the top line at the end of this financial year.
Well, double-digit is a big range. If you can say something about mid-teens, high teens.
But I would say anything north of 10% to 15% on the top line is good. And if it is driven through some of the important sources of contribution margin, that is like rooms revenue, or through your main wedding business, then it translates into incremental profitability, because that's how this business is in terms of a fixed cost base. And on that front, Lata, I forgot to mention, this year, based on the calendar, the first quarter had the least number of wedding dates too. So we had the heat wave, the least wedding dates, and code of conduct, all three. But I think the sector in general did well in terms of navigating through this. And I remain optimistic, as we are in a silent period, that we will be fine over the 12 months period in the guidance that we have given.
Okay. Would margins also be better? I mean, you already did fantastic margins last time, I think north of 20%.
For the year, we did 33% almost. So I think anything north of 30 for the full year is a very good industry-leading margin on a global front. We should not forget we have also hotels in US and London and Cape Town, and it's not just a domestic. On the domestic front, on standalone, we are north of 40. And I think that's a very respectable and a very high margin for the kind of business that we are in. And we have been very confident in giving this guidance, and we stand by that.
Oh, 40 is something to kill for, Mr. Chhatwal. But, as you pointed out, I think a couple of interviews ago, that there is a supply-demand mismatch. Supply is lower than demand and is likely to remain that way for a few years now. But does that give you unlimited pricing power?
No, I think there is nothing like unlimited pricing power that will come. But definitely, if demand outpaces supply, especially in the key hospitality markets like Delhi, Mumbai, Rajasthan, Goa, Bengaluru, etc., then your ability to charge is higher. And I think that is the situation that we are in. And also our footprint is so large in these markets. We are industry leading in, Goa. We have 15 plus hotels in Goa and another 30 plus homestays. So I think given that kind of a footprint, the importance of these markets is very significant for our portfolio, and I think they will keep doing well because although the supply is coming, the demand is just outpacing the supply.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. A visit to the Gateway, to the hotel in Gateway, you're a stand for place in even Shamiana. Well, let me come to ARRs. I know it's silent period, but how much can you reveal? I think ARRs can be revealed. How was it, or how do you see it in the current year? Last time, I think you did 75%.
That is the occupancy, right?
Yes. Sorry, occupancy. I'm sorry. I meant occupancy.
We are on track. We are, as I said, 10% top line growth. If half of that is coming through rooms and the other half is coming through food and beverage, then obviously it has to be more than last year. What exactly it will be is really decided between the months of October and March, because that is the time when you benefit, especially our portfolio, from foreign tourist arrivals because of our palaces footprint with the Taj brand. That is the time when you have the maximum corporate events because of the weather in Delhi and in Mumbai and other places. So that rate improvement and the average that you derive is really coming from the months of October to March.
Okay.
And we should not forget, this sector till 5 years ago was used to having a negative first half of the year. Now, you look at just Indian hotels for the last several years, except for COVID, we have been profitable in Q1 and Q2, which we were never historically. So I think that is where the landscape of hospitality has changed. And it's not just us, all the companies that are publicly listed announcing the results are on, are really on the go from 1st of April onwards. And that is a dramatic shift in the way business is done in this sector.
Okay. Well, actually, the FY24 ARR, I think, was about 580 odd. You can do substantially better?
See, Lata, I think it's a very good question. So let me answer it in a very, scientific and artistic way. We have several brands. We have to start giving this guidance, which we'll do when we announce the results for the first quarter. By brand, the ability to charge for Taj, which is a 120-year-old brand, which is so mature, which is like the crown jewel of India, not just Indian hotels, is very different than our new businesses. So when we say that 12,000 is the rate, that doesn't mean that was the average achieved rate of Taj. So that includes the Ginger, that includes the Vivanta, that includes Selection, all other hotel brands. And now in August, we're going to launch also Gateway. Yeah. So I think the guidance has to be by brand. And if the growth of Ginger starts in the way we have been thinking it should, like adding at least 10 to 12 a hotel a month just with the Ginger brand, then it starts diluting the overall average achieved rate, because a Ginger brand would do like 4,000 or 5,000 rupees as an average rate, whereas Taj would do north of 15,000. So I think that's what the rate you mentioned just now includes rates all possible. And just Taj, I would say, would be higher than or north of 15,000.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm trying to pack in as much as possible, being warned by my producer. Two questions. Wellness, are you all going to go big? Because, just as the summer is a big reality, people looking at not just luxury, but diet and good health is. So any plans over there? And the other one, international. Why is it so much less than your domestic, and any plans there?
Both great questions, Lata, and thank you for asking. We have always had what was called the Jiva. We have renamed it or rebranded it as the J Wellness Circle. And the J Wellness Circle enables us to have more than 80 spas across our portfolio. That is maybe the highest anybody would have in the world. But that's not the end. It's just the beginning. And we are looking at various options going forward in partnering with people who are very strong in wellness and in that kind of sector, because that's a very specialized sector. So we want to bring in our expertise on hospitality in terms of accommodation and combine our forces with somebody who's very strong on that front. So hopefully within a year or so, we'll be able to guide more on where we stand on that front. When it comes to your second question was related
International,
which I said is great, is let's not forget, US is not yet recovered to the pre-COVID levels, especially New York, where we have where we are present on the Fifth Avenue. But even UK, London has been a very big contributor to us for several years now. And we know what UK has gone through in terms of also elections, and they had their own challenges. But we do believe that London will keep doing very well. Cape Town has done very well for us. And we did have some challenges in the past in Sri Lanka, which is bounced back very well. But at the same time, we have still some challenges in Maldives. But I believe now that Maldives is beginning to stabilize. All in all, international has done well for us in the last 16, 18 months and will continue to do and contribute much better. And that's one sees, when you see the results on a standalone and a consolidated basis, you see that what the domestic contributed and what the international contributed. International historically was a drag, which is not the case anymore.
Okay. Well, actually, my producer is extremely impressed by your answers, and she's given me one more minute. What are you all doing about digital? I mean, there's so much talk of AI, and you have customers on whom you can use digital tools. What's the digital journey?
I think digital, as they would call it in Latin, is conditio sine qua non. I think nobody will be able to survive over long term without using digital and AI as an enabler. Especially for us, I call it as an enabler because when people go to our palaces and our fantastic luxury brands, I don't know if I think it'll be appropriate to mention here on your channel. Taj was rated as world's strongest hotel brand by Brand Finance for the third time in the last 4 years, and India's strongest brand across all sectors. I think digital remains an enabler, a very important enabler, but it is our service ethos, it is our passion for hospitality, it is our cuisines, it is many other things that we bring together, and how we use digital to communicate that with our customers is going to be the key. At least in the short to medium term. In the long term, I think brands like Ginger will be, or our new businesses as we call it, Ginger, our homestay Ama, or Cumin with our home delivery. These are absolutely digital driven businesses. And it's on a good journey, opening your room key with your mobile phone to choosing your room yourself before you even arrive at the property. These are things that will happen at our new business level. But in a palace, you will be greeted by the palace staff and you will be escorted to your palatial room.
Fair point. No, fair point. Each to his own. Actually, it was a credit card company which was envying what data you may have and how AI can be used over, the kind of database that Indian hotels may have. But I suppose you're not on that journey. Thank you very much, Mr. Puneet Chhatwal, for revealing what you can in your silent period, and look forward to the post-results conversation.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. A pleasure always.
With that, it's a wrap on Bazaar. Chartbusters coming up.